Hey everyone, welcome back to Purpose and Plans. It is really good to be here with you all today. I did have to take some time off because life actually happened. So just to cut right to the point is that I recently experienced the loss of my mother. And so with that, I had to pull back quite a bit, hence my absence. You know, we're going through, our family's doing okay as best as we can. And I was really grateful for a lot of the prayers and the support. And there were so many people reaching out, just making sure we were okay. And, you know, we're doing as okay as we can. It is still very fresh. It only happened a couple of weeks ago. So we're doing okay. And I'm just grateful to God. He is holding me up. So if you all have listened to any of my videos or podcast episodes, you know, I talk a lot about seasons and capacity, being in alignment, knowing your vision, having clarity on your vision and being aligned to that. And so as much as I talk about that is, and it's something that I do live, but it was something that I had to manage and adjust when the news hit me. Everything changed. And so I had to practice what I teach in real time, you know, in real life and in real time. That's just how it goes. I wanted to talk to you about seasons and capacity and when those things do change, because it's one thing to know it, what season you're in, what your capacity is, but then sometimes those seasons will change. Not sometimes, they will. Those seasons will change. Your capacity will change. And sometimes it can be a gradual change. And then sometimes it is a very abrupt, disrupting kind of change, like what I experienced. And regardless of whether it comes in gradually, as it's meaning it's something that you sense is happening, but nothing life-changing has happened, or like in my case, something life-changing happened and it happened very quickly. It's still important to know how to adjust, how to manage when your season, your capacity, when those things change and you don't necessarily have time to take time to like really sit down and think about like, what season am I in? And, you know, just really have that time and space to get the clarity that you need. Sometimes things just happen really quickly and you've got to adjust as best as you can. And so I wanted to talk to you about that in today's video. One of the things that I wanted to share with you is that you're going to experience those seasons where things just shift very quickly. And I'm using myself as the use case, as the example. I am sharing with you some of the things that I managed and went through, because you can experience a shift in your season very quickly as well. Again, it could be for any reason. So when I lost my mother just a couple of weeks ago, and when I lost my mother, is that one of the things naturally is that my capacity totally dropped. My energy levels went down to rock bottom for the most part. My energy dropped, and it's just, I think that's very normal. I didn't condemn myself, and I'm not condemning myself for that at all, because when grief hits, you know, that's pretty much what consumes your day, your emotions and mental energy and everything. So naturally, the person I was between that time that I got the phone call, the person I was, you know, phone call, and then it was like, everything's different, everything's changed. And so that's how quickly things can happen, of course. And some of you may have already experienced this, so you already know what I'm talking about. But my energy and my capacity certainly dropped. And now that there has been some time, it's not a lot, but I would say about 2 weeks. Now that some time has passed, I can say that now, like, my energy and my capacity is not at the bottom, but it's certainly not consistent. It's been fluctuating quite a bit. Like, it's almost funny to me when I think about it sometimes, but it's just very funny because honestly, I've never experienced my energy and capacity the way I'm experiencing it right now. Sometimes it'll be up and then times it'll be down. My energy, my capacity is like a balloon. It's full and, ready to float. And then immediately, it just pull up and it just like goes out, and it'll go back up and it goes out and it goes back up and it goes out. Like, literally, it's like a roller coaster. It's up and down all throughout the day. There's no particular trigger, no particular time of day that I notice my capacity, my energy changes. It just changes. And that's where I'm at right now. Knowing that and feeling that. And again, this is kind of after I've come back home, and we're trying to just, get things back to normal as far as, making sure the kids are, going to their activities, just the normal day-to-day things that we do to keep the household running. So the first thing I did, and I'm not saying that I thought about these things in rank order during the time when I was at home, and I'm from New Orleans originally. So, just having to do all the things when it comes to funeral arrangements. I did not even try to pretend. I didn't try to pretend that I was okay. I didn't try to pretend that I could do everything. I didn't put on no type of mask, no type of facade. I just showed up as my true, honest, vulnerable, grieving self. And that was for the best. Because I think, during that time, that's just what I had to allow myself to be. I'm a very type A person, and I like to do all that I can do. But during that time, I was totally okay and fully accepted that that is not who I am right now. I am not the person who can do all the things. I am not the person with all of the energy, all the capacity. I am going to be whoever, whatever I am in the moment, and that's it. So it was just really being honest and not pretending, not putting on a facade, not putting on a mask, not trying to hide behind a mask or disguise or try to put a veil over my emotions. It wasn't any of that. And for me, I think that was just the best thing because it allowed me to really just move through in the best way that I could. I think my lesson learned in hindsight, now that I'm back home in my home and have had some time to think and process, and I am still thinking and I am still processing, but I have had time to think, and I realized that, a shift in your season, of course, it doesn't always come with warning, and it's not something that you can always sense. Sometimes it does just happen. And that's something that I have not talked about on any of my videos or content is, what do you do? How do you manage when it just comes and hits you like a Mack truck, right? So sometimes it just arrives. And the question isn't why, you just have to know that you're in it. So what happens if you don't adjust when you are in a different season? Your capacity, your energy. What happens when you don't actually make the necessary adjustments to this shift in season, energy, capacity, alignment? So one thing that I knew was that I definitely did not try and knew that I could not maintain or sustain the same rhythms, routines, and ways that I approach my work the same way I did before my mother had passed. There was just no way I could maintain or sustain it afterwards. So one of the things I did not do is try to hold on to an old season or old rhythms, old ways. And I say old, and I'm talking like it's just a couple of weeks, and maybe old is not the right word. I would say more like, and so I didn't try to work against myself. I knew that things needed to change because there's something that has to take place in my life, and it was called grief and also just things that I had to do as far as, close some open loops and whatever. So I didn't have the same expectations regarding output. I didn't have the same planning approach. I had my planner all set up and I was ready to go. And it was a Monday morning and got the news and boom. So after that, there was like no planning. There was nothing. My planner stayed empty. It was prepared, but there was nothing done. And usually I don't like it when my planner pages are empty, but empty pages also tell a story. And I think for mine, seeing that I had some decoration, I had some stickers in there, but there was no ink to paper at all. And I think that told the story in and of itself. I didn't have the same output expectations, the same planning approach. I didn't even have the same pace because trying to keep up with what I used to do would have just created a lot of friction and it would have created a lot of frustration in my life. And I would have been working against myself. And that was something that I definitely did not need. So in order to recalibrate or align yourself to the current season you're in, even if that current season is just for a little bit, it's really knowing that you can't work against yourself. And that was something that I knew. I used wisdom. I had enough wisdom to know I'm not going to work against myself. No matter how much I want my planner to be full, no matter how much I want certain things done, had planned certain things, I had certain goals and just deadlines and things that I was working towards. And I was not trying to work against myself, but trying to still meet prior expectations, right? So it's learning how to let go. Not that you're letting go forever, but having to let go so that the other things that needed to be tended to could be tended to. So just as important as it is to know what happens if you don't make necessary adjustments, I want to share with you just some of the adjustments to my rhythm, my planning that I did so that I could kind of continue to push through and even be here with you all today. So one of the things that I did, and I kind of already touched on this, is that I simplified my planning process. I have quite a few notebooks and planners that I do use, but I have some core planners that I use on the daily basis. And then I have some supporting planners, notebooks that I use to help. And I just did not do all of the things. That's just the bottom line, is that I just basically went with one planner, not by design. I think it was just by default. I just defaulted to just the one planner. And that worked for me because I had a lot of things going on in my head. And so I just really kept things, I think, as extremely as simple as possible. So I had one planner by default. It worked, and it was my daily planner. So normally I will do like my weekly planning, and then I will take that weekly planning and then each day fill out my daily planner and all the things that I generally do. I didn't do all of that. I just allowed myself to go one day at a time. That removed a lot of stuff off of my plate because I just didn't think I had the capacity to just do all of the things that I would normally do. And so the things I did was I continued to take care of myself as best as I could. I made sure that now that the weather's breaking or has broke, I don't know, the weather can still be a little bit spotty, but I was very intentional about making sure that I give myself some sunlight, some fresh air, just so that I feel like my body is getting exposed to life. So I made sure that I'm, sitting by windows, getting sunlight, getting fresh air, stepping outside, going for small walks, because it does make a difference and I can really feel the difference in my body. And even sometimes when I don't necessarily feel the difference in my body, I know that it's helpful for me to get some vitamin D exposure and get some fresh air and just walk outside. I don't look at my phone. I don't even listen to my phone. I love listening to nature. I love listening to birds and hearing the wind blow and leaves rattle and stuff like that. So I literally just take a nice quiet walk in my neighborhood and I just be in the environment. And that has been very helpful for me. So getting proper rest. And this one has been a little spotty. I do sleep well. I've never had problems sleeping per se, but I do get tired fairly early. I will get good rest. I sleep well, although my sleep has been spotty. But when I do go to sleep, I do sleep well. Like I don't feel unrested. But to say that I have been waking up earlier than what I normally do, and I have found that to be advantageous because I will just come downstairs to my kitchen and I will basically just start doing stuff, because at a certain part in the morning, like the entire family is in the kitchen and everybody's doing stuff. You know, my husband's, he's making a smoothie. My kids are getting breakfast. You know, people are bumping to each other in and out of the refrigerator, in and out of the pantry, and reaching over to grab this paper towel, this, that, wipe the counter, whatever. I'm making coffee, and it's a lot of activity. Me getting up early and coming downstairs in the kitchen, doing my thing when no one else is around, I loved it. I really did love it. And it has been very helpful for me. It has given me a sense of that quiet time. Not saying I wasn't getting any quiet time. It's just, it was a little bit, my quiet time was a lot shorter. And it would start later in the morning. But now I started very early and I've loved it. It's just been great. That is something I'm definitely going to continue. But that was something that also just kind of started happening by default. So that has been helpful, and something that I have done that has allowed me to kind of adjust to this new season that I'm in. The other thing is hair appearance. Just taking care of me. My hair, I do it myself. I made sure to just try to take care of that because I didn't want to look the way I was feeling. And it just felt like if I'm taking care of myself in these really small ways, then I will feel like I am the self-care. That's what it is. It's just called self-care. And it's not that I wasn't taking care of my hair before, but I feel like it was very easy for me to just not do stuff, to include just like, I'm not going to do my hair, and just slap it into a bun, slap it into a ponytail. But instead I was like, no, you know what? I'm going to do this for me. I need it. So it was something that it's not something I did different. It was just something that I held on to. But I made sure, like, when I decided that I was going to do my hair, I wasn't going to do the most, because sometimes I like to do the most when it comes to my hair. So instead I was like, you know what, I'm not going to be doing all the pre-poo and the this and the hair mask and the this and the that. No, I'm just going to get it clean, style it, be done. So doing the things that I was doing prior to my mother's passing, but then maybe just scaling back a little versus making things feel like an entire production. So hair appearance was another one. And then also, I kind of touched on this. This is knowing when I've hit my I'm done moment. My energy, like I said, fluctuates. My capacity fluctuates. It is up and down, and I cannot predict it. And I'm not even trying to manage it. I just let it be what it is for now. When I feel like, okay, I've had enough. Like, I don't even want to be, and when I say I've had enough, it's not like something bad happened. Like, no one's got on my nerves or anything. It's just, there's just this emotional threshold that I have. I just sense it internally. And I can tell when I get to that point, I'm like, all right, I'm finished for the day. I'm done. I'm retiring. And I don't even really care what time it is. I mean, if I feel that at 3:00 in the afternoon, I'm like, I'm finished. So when I get to that point, I'm okay. I don't try to push past it. I just allow myself to recognize that I am at that point, and I am going to honor the threshold that I'm feeling. So when I feel like I'm done, I don't beat myself up about it. I've just allowed myself to just be done. And that will be like me changing clothes, whatever, go and put on my night clothes, my robe. I love being in my robe. And so I will put on my robe and I will go in my bed and I will watch TV or whatever, journal, whatever it is that I want to do. I just do that. And sometimes I'm not even sure what I want to do because I'm like feeling all sorts of things, but I'll know that I'm just completely done. And I will allow myself to just be in that moment. I don't fight it. I don't push past it. I just allow it to come when it comes, and I honor it and I respond to it. And that has been helpful. And I think those things like keep my stress levels low. It keeps my anxiety low, and it allows me to experience whatever my body needs to experience, my heart, my emotions. I just let it be. And, watching TV and just enjoying that. I love like period drama. So I have been watching, I think this is kind of like an old show, but I've been watching The Paradise on Prime. And it's a series, and I've been enjoying that quite a bit. So I like to just sit back and listen, watch period drama, and that kind of gives me some respite. And last is being able to stay aligned without forcing alignment. You don't want to force alignment, because then that's not true alignment. You want it to be authentic. If anything, you want to have integrity with yourself. Have integrity with your season and your capacity, not trying to match someone else's, not trying to be or do something that is not for you at that time, right? So not trying to force anything at all, because there's a difference between your capacity and your identity. And sometimes I think women can attach their identity to their capacity. And as long as they feel like they can do, then that makes them who they are. And it's not. What you do is not who you are. It's who you be. That's who you are. It's who God says you are. That's who you are. And it's not attached to what you can do or the output. So, because, capacity, energy, all those things, they change, but staying true to who you are and honoring who you are is really important. Your identity being rooted. And so that's where I was. I allowed my identity to stay rooted. I stayed rooted in my faith, of course. That was the biggest thing that kept me afloat and is keeping me afloat, is that I was, going into God's word and reading his word. That really ministered to me, because I knew that no matter what I did, whether I went to bed early or late, watched TV, journal, like all those external things, I knew that the main thing was that I had to lean in more to God, because he is our burden bearer. He says, we should cast our cares on him because he cares for us. And he understands the pain and the emotions and the grief that we go through as human beings. And he's there for us. He said he would never leave us or forsake us. And so I leaned in on that quite a bit. And I was grateful for that, because I feel like of all the things that I did, that is what sustained me. That is what sustained me the most and kept everything else in perspective. Those were the things that I did that once I kind of went through this shift. Some things continued, some things scaled back a bit, and some things were a little bit different. And I'm just grateful. I'm truly grateful for how God has kept me through all of this. So as I wrap it up, I just want to say that, if your season has changed, has shifted, whether slow or quickly, for whatever reason, the most important thing you can do is just be honest with your season, be honest with your capacity, honor it, and have integrity with yourself. Don't try to make it be something it's not. Don't try to make yourself be something you're not. Or try to create or do something that you don't have the energy or the capacity to do for whatever reason. That is what I wanted to share with you today. You don't have to perform or push or pretend. Just being honest, have integrity with yourself, honor your season. It can change quickly or slowly, but it's just being aware and knowing that your capacity does not have anything to do with your identity. You are still who God says you are. I am still who God says I am. Just because I'm not doing as much as I was prior to doesn't mean I am not creating value or being of value to anyone in my life. Those things are still there. Thank you for being here with me. And I appreciate you all for being here. I appreciate your patience, and I appreciate, as you've heard me say, your viewership and you listening. So I hope that you all have a really great day, and I am going to see you on the next video. Take care, and remember, as I'm also reminding myself, to live full and live faithful.